It was funny. I was reading my shirt, right? My shirt I made, and it says, "Who are you when?" I think it's "Who are you?" But who are you when nobody's watching? And I was sitting there, and because I was about to record a different video, and I sat here, and I was just like, I was reading my shirt, and I was like, "Damn, I am the same exact person when nobody's watching." My kids will tell you exactly who she is when she's outside is exactly who she is at home. I hated watching my parents, my sister, be one way with people out in the street and a completely different way with me at home. And it was just like, well, who the fuck are you now? And it's like, they would be super nice to you outside in the street. And then when you got home, husband, same thing. Super nice in front of other people. And then when they got you alone, it was like I was like, yo, but didn't you just tell this person how great I was and how much you love me? Now you tell me I'm a piece of shit. I don't know. I don't get it. And I purposely, because I promised myself that I would parent and on purpose, I would live on purpose. I would have a purpose, not a purpose for you, but a purpose for me. I would be able to stand in what I believe and who I am. And I figured that it made no sense being one person outside in the street and another person behind closed doors, or another person when nobody's watching. The same person you see sitting here doing whatever, yeah, that's pretty much who I am. This is pretty much it. This is it, people. Like, this is all you get. Yeah, it's there, but you get a lot. And that's one thing I do know. You get a lot when you get me. I told my last commissioner before this one, I told him that. Preston Niblack, dope guy. Dope guy. You know, and he's the type of boss you want him to be your friend. You want to hang out with him and his husband. Andrew is the best. They are the best. Oh, I love them so much. I miss them so. But anyway, I digress. So before I start crying on fucking television. But yeah, so I told him, you get a lot when you get me. And when I started doing stuff, because he's a dope guy, when I started doing stuff for him, because he cared about me. I could tell that he cared about me. So I started doing shit for him. And he was just like, I was making him healing oils. I was making him protection bracelets because we had to go do the events and we had to go to fucking holiday parties and, like, what is it? Customer service week. And he shook everybody's hand. And I was just like, oh. And then he is a Cancer sun and a Leo a Leo rising. I don't remember what his moon was, but he was dope and is dope because he's not dead, but he is dope. And I would make him like protection bracelets and stuff. He'll be in the back of the car. He'll be like, fuck, I forgot my bracelet. And then I would always have extra bracelets on like tour day because when I did, I would just take it off and give it to him. So that was always fun. Good times, good times. But yeah, so I made the protection bracelets for him. And he was just like, and I was like, I told you get a lot when you get me. And he was just like, yeah, I do. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, it's odd, like being who I am now, because this is who I said I wanted to be. I am living right now today. I'm living. That's why like the other layer or whatever next step that I'm like standing in front of the door and waiting for it to go to unlock. You know, once that like when I'm looking at it, but I have no idea what the hell that's going to be. I don't. because I only planned this far. I really did. I didn't see going past this. And I was just like, oh shit, we're still going. It's like I didn't realize there was going to be another level. So this is like, I got a podcast network. I wanted to be published. I'm published. I wanted to make tarot decks. I make decks. I make, I said I wanted people to communicate. I made decks on communication, compromise and all that other stuff. And it's just like, I make juices. I have an apothecary. I have a hair care line. I have my own clothing line. It's like I paint. So I've done like, I've pretty much done it. And it's like, but we're still going, that's who I am when no one's watching. When no one's watching, the ideas, the books, the stuff just keeps going. I want you to ask yourself, who do you want to be? Are you the type of person that when people are watching, you can do things and you move because you have an audience? Or do you do it even though nobody's watching? And I remember being in church and we weren't getting recognition that the way we should have because we were kicking ass in there and we didn't. And then I remember hearing the Holy Spirit go to me, who are you doing this for? And I was like, damn, you right. I was like, you right. Fuck those people. Let's go, God. Let's go, Jesus. That's how I was. And because I had to keep up morale. In keeping up morale, a lot of people don't understand something about, everybody's like, oh, morale, oh, the culture and all this other stuff. The executives are supposed to be in charge of that. If no one's like pouring into the executive, the morale is going to be low if the executive's morale is low. Like if I'm the head, which I am, and my morale is low, it's going to leak out to everybody else. Just like if my morale is like through, which it is now, it is fucking through the roof. It is like, let's go, let's get this shit, and it's like that radiates out to everyone else, especially in a feminine energy kind of sense, so it's like it pushes everything out. But if my morale is low, what I push out is not, my output is not going to be okay. It's going to be bad. You understand? No one's going to want that shit, and for me, it's just, you got to keep the morale up. This is for someone specific. You got to keep the morale up. You want to know why your company's not moving? Your morale is low, bro. Like your morale is very low. You have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure in public, if you're like, yeah, I'm great. At home, you need to be the same way. When nobody's with you, you need to be. I'm not saying all the time because this shit hurts. This life and wanting, it's like life is bad enough. We decided we wanted to be something in this life. So I know you're sitting here going like, what the fuck is this? This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown. Love Linkin Park. Heavy is the crown. It's like, this is what you asked for. I remember when I heard that Linkin Park song for the first time. I was walking to the 6 train and I was just like, I was complaining. I didn't want to know if I wanted to say that. I was bitching and moaning. I was bitching, moaning, and complaining. And all of a sudden, I pressed my playlist, and I love Linkin Park. Everyone knows me knows I love Linkin Park. And that was like my playlist for a while. Now I have my own playlist. I create my own, I design my own songs. But yeah, so I could design a song for you. But anyway, and it was kind of like my spirits were like, bitch, I am sick of hearing you bitch moan and complain. And it just shuffled. And because I always made my spirits pick my songs when I got off the bus. So that was the song they picked. And I was standing there and I was like walking, and then I stood waiting for the train. And I was listening to it, and it was like, this is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown. And I was just like, that's when I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit, that's what the fuck is happening. They're like, yeah, you can't want something and just, you can't want crown, emperor, empress, emperor energy and stature and status and authenticity and vulnerability and all those abilities. You don't want all those abilities. You want all those abilities, but you have to understand there's a price. Like, you got to pay the price. I keep saying this. This is like a repeat because I said this yesterday. There's a price to pay. There's a price to pay. You want the crown? The crown costs. Like that fame shit. Like, you want fame? Shit, Debbie Allen was not fucking playing. You want fame? Well, fame costs. You understand? And that was the realest fucking statement I've ever remembered. Because I don't want fame. I want change. I want change. I want to see, because I know in my lineage, or the people around me, not just blood lineage, but my lineage of working, they all hated their wives. Because I'm surrounded by men. They all hated their wives except Preston. Preston loves Andrew. Ooh, and Sharif. He loves his wife. You understand? They all love their wives. You understand? But it was like they didn't like their wives. I'm not even talking about the people I work for. I'm talking about the people I hung out with. It was like, because I didn't know what was going on with my boss's wives. I stayed out of that, except for Sharif and Preston, because they talked about their wives a lot. But anyway, I digress. So I'm like, what is happening? And then I started to watch like the decline of love. And I blame music. I do. I blame music because when my parents, because I was listening to songs as a child that I really shouldn't have been listening to, but like, we didn't have like the wheels on the bus go round and round in my house. We had like Teddy Pendergrass playing. I think this is why I'm a hopeless romantic now. We had Teddy Pendergrass playing. We had fucking Luther Vandross playing. We had Marvin Gaye. Those are the people. Like, that's what we eat. There was Spanish music too, but I don't really remember like the people because it wasn't as popular back then as it is now. So I don't remember that, but it was like that. It was like soca. It was a different vibe. It was a different vibe and a different feeling. That's how I knew my parents were in a good mood, because music would be playing, especially if it was my mother. I knew she was in a good mood if music was playing, and I was just like, "Oh, you can go outside." That was how it was. It was like, "Oh, you could go outside," and especially if they were cleaning and stuff like that, you're like, "Oh, they're okay." I didn't know my mother was suffering from depression at the time. She told me later on, and I was just like, "Yeah, that's rough. I've been there. I've been there." Like where, but I feel, and this is not medical advice, but I feel like depression came to me because I felt like I was trapped. I felt like I was trapped and I couldn't get out. And I couldn't figure out how to get out. And I didn't see an exit. When you're under siege and you don't see an exit, it's like the only thing you can do is give in. And I'm happy I didn't. That's why I love YouTube. I love Google. It came right on time. It really did. All those opening up the world programs that made me go, oh shit, this is not normal. Like, oh shit, spiritual awakening, family trauma, what is this? And that's how I know I have to be on the right track, because there are little clues and breadcrumbs and, patterns that make it okay. Like I get through the game. Like I have like little abilities and people and connections and stuff. And it's just like it helps the game. It helps in the game. But I need you to figure out, who do you want to be? Who are you when nobody's watching? Do you like yourself when nobody's watching? Are you the same self, or are you someone else? Are you being your authentic self? That word, haven't heard that word so much as I have in the past couple of months, but it is one of the realest things. I like who I am now. And I didn't think that I was going to, because I felt like I had to be this and I had to be that and I had to do this and I had to be strong and I had to be tough and I had to be, sword, queen of swords, swords out with the magician in the back and all that other stuff. I felt like I had to be all those things in order to not fall apart, and it was just like, I remember when I was watching TikTok and I got that video, drop, put down the sword, take off the armor, you're safe. And I was sitting there like, damn, TikTok did it again. TikTok in my spirit did it again. And I was just like, I'll try. And it took about 2 years to drop it. I don't think don't get it twisted. It's not too far. It's not the sword, especially the sword. The sword stay closed. The sword stay closed. But, cause there's 2 of them. But, yeah, I was disarmored for a while, and I got to know who I am, aside from the trauma, don't get it twisted, it took a lot of energy clearing. It took a lot of clearing. So much so we created an app for it. It is so much clearings. It was just, I have books of clearings of what it was getting out. And like I said in another video, I was like, God damn. Like what? Like, yo, I did so much clearings that it was kind of like, those who saw like Silence of the Lambs, it was kind of like when they wheeled out Hannibal Lecter and you were like, what did he do? He had a mask on, he had a strap, he was strapped down, he was on a gurney. They didn't even want him to walk. You were like, what did he do? That's how I felt when I was looking at the clearings. And when I was doing the clearings, I was just like, what? What do I possess that I was locked up and twisted up and bounded up this much? And then the more I cleared myself and healed different parts and reset codes and moved codes and stuff, the more I started to do what I love to do. And the more I started to just be, and I would watch different people and they would say the same thing. Just be you. There's nothing, if they don't like it, they're not for you. They're not supposed to. Don't, like I said before, when someone, like right now, I'm talking to you. You can either receive what I have to say because it's the right frequency for you, or you don't because it's a disruptive frequency for you and it doesn't fit what I'm not for everyone. And that was something that changed my whole heart and outlook on how I did things. Also, that fucking craving validation loop, getting rid of that shit. Whoo, that craving validation loop. And the divine delay loop. Those 2 was crazy. I don't get them as much as I used to. But yeah, I used to get those a lot. So much so I was like, here we go. Here we go. C6. Here we go. Those that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so for me, it was more along the lines of, I lost my train of I donated my videos like that, so this one is gonna roll. I completely lost my train of thought. This is literally how it is hanging out with me. You want to know what it's like hanging out in the temple with me? This is what it's like. You just chill, you sit, we talk, we shoot the shit. You tell me about your life, I tell you about mine. We smoke some bud. Yeah, have some fresh squeezed juice. Ooh, you know what I did? I made I because I had went to an eatery, so I got like different pieces of fruit, and I thought I was gonna eat it, but then my stomach got upset, and I was like, we're not taking that chance with fruit. So I was like, I'll wait till my stomach feels better, and I'll eat the fruit. Now, I don't like old, cold fruit, but it was in the fridge like for like 2 days. So I was like, I don't like old, cold fruit. And I kept hearing my spirit team go, juice it, because I have the best juicer ever. So they were like, just juice it. And I was just like, juice it. I was like, but I kind of wanted to eat it. Because they'd be having me juice fruit for the longest. And I'm like, can I eat a fruit, please? And it was just like, no, juice it. I juiced it today. That shit was delicious. It was really good. It had one slice of orange. It had two like plump strawberries. It had pineapple. Had Michaela can't have pineapple. Poor Michaela. It had pineapple. It had mango, and it had grapes. So good. Green grapes. It was so good. But yeah, so since I forgot my train of thought and I lost it, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. I love you guys. Thanks for always listening to this weird ass podcast. I love you. Stay up, stay blessed. Deuces. And we out.